If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos.
Aloha everybody, it's my husband Craig and I sitting here, and we want to talk to you about ketones because everybody always asks me when I do a consult with them, what about my ketone numbers? I'm not seeing, high ketones, but do they really matter?
They really don't. There's never been a study that showed any correlation of higher blood ketones to better results. In fact, you can have very high blood ketone levels and gain weight. I mean, there's not really any correlation there to results or success.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because I talked to a lady this morning and her son has epilepsy. In her case, high ketones do matter because we want to keep the seizures away. But when we're talking about weight loss, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a key distinction is if you're talking, what are your goals? If your goals are Alzheimer's or seizure control, those are two situations where you kind of want elevated blood ketones because that can help the brain and keep seizures at bay. If your goal is weight loss, the ketone levels don't matter. In fact, the longer that you are keto adapted, the lower the blood ketones will be because you get more efficient at using the ketones. Because let's just think about what are blood ketones. Blood ketones are at that moment, how much fuel has been generated, ketones, versus how much fuel got used in your cells or your brain. So it's just a difference what's left over. If your body gets better at using blood ketones, then they are going to be lower because they don't need as much around because you're efficient at using them.
And so I've been keto for 23 years and I work out in a fasted state. So when I'm working out, my ketones are very low. Do I stress out about it? No, I don't, because I'm using my ketones for energy and I've been keto for so long, my mitochondria is very efficient at it.
And that's also why when you first start out being keto, you can see higher blood ketones because your body's not efficient at using them yet.
It's still a sugar burner.
And so you see these, 4.0, 5.0 blood ketones when you start going keto because your body isn't really adapted yet. And so that's one of the keys is you look at the blood stream, your bloodstream is kind of like fuel lines on a car. You don't want to run an engine too rich. You don't want to give it too much gas. The body's very much the same. It does not like too high of fuel in the blood of any kind of fuel. Too much alcohol can kill you. Too much glucose in the blood can kill you. Too much fat in the blood can kill you. Too many ketones in the blood can kill you. And so the body is very tightly regulating how much fuel is in the blood at any time. And so really, if you look at it as a fuel supply issue, it's really about how much fuel is being made versus what's being needed at that moment. And the body will partition between glucose, fat, and ketones to get the right amount of fuel in the blood. And that's another important point is that when you're keto adapted, when you're a fat burner, you're actually not really using ketones as your primary fuel source. That's kind of a misconception that, oh, I'm running on ketones. In reality, you're actually running on free fatty acids. So what happens is your fat cells, they're called adipose tissue. These are cells where you store your fat. So this is triglyceride molecules is how the fat is stored. And a triglyceride is 3 free fatty acid molecules linked together with a glycerol backbone. And that's how it's stored in those fat cells. And then when the body needs some fuel, what it does is it pulls this out of the fat cell, and the first thing it does, cleaves off the glycerol. Glycerol, 3 of them can go to the liver and become a glucose. So this is actually how you can make some glucose when you're a fat burner. And the 3 free fatty acids are now free, and they bind to albumin, which is a way to carry it through the bloodstream. And then they can be burned directly in your muscle. And this is actually where most of your fuel comes from when you're a keto adapted person. Those free fatty acids get burned right in the muscle. Some of those free fatty acids can go to the liver and be converted into ketones. And there's certain parts of the body, like the brain, maybe some heart tissues and things that really like ketones, and so they burn on those. But that's really what you are. When you're a fat burner, you really are a free fatty acid burner, not a ketone burner.
So what numbers wouldn't you worry about?
I wouldn't really worry about your blood ketones. If anything, I'd worry.
So if you're like 0.3, it's fine, right?
Yep. And the longer you're keto, like we said, Maria and I are rarely above 0.5 blood ketones because we've been keto for
And
over 15 years.
we don't add fat just to add fat. Nobody's doing shots of MCT oil in
And
our
that's-
house. We don't even have MCT oil.
And that's the big problem with worrying about a ketone number is because what do you do if it's too low?
You add
try
fat.
Try adding fat to pump it up.
And what do you do
That's
then? You gain
not,
weight.
not what you want because dietary fat has only two pathways. It either gets burned as fuel, like the free fatty acids we talked about, or it goes into storage, into your fat cells. If fat loss is the goal, you don't want more going in. You want to be having more fat coming out and burning it as fuel.
We did a podcast yesterday, and the man said, my favorite quote from your book, Keto, was, if your body is already high fat, your diet doesn't need to be.
Exactly. So if you want to burn more body fat, don't worry about the ketone levels. Get your diet right and moderate the dietary fat so that you burn more of your own body fat for fuel.
And if you want to know your perfect macros, you can go to mariamindbodyhealth.com and search calculator. We'll do the link below.
Yep.
Get your own personal macros done with protein-sparing modified fast macros. And maybe we should talk about protein-sparing modified fast in our
We'll
next
do that
video.
in the next video.
Mahalo, everyone.
Sharing is caring. Share this video with your friends.